Guess what? I just finished the rest of the Divergent series. Woohoo! So this review is going to be as spoiler-free as humanly possible, but I can't guarantee complete spoiler-freeness. So just in case, if you really, really, really don't want to see anything that could possibly be described as a spoiler, then you might want to beware. This series takes place in a nameless city that is divided into 5 factions. Those factions are erudite, which are the learned, scholarly people like doctors and researchers and teachers. The amity, who are peace-loving farmer people. Dauntless, who are thrill-seeking, crazy, reckless, crazy people with guns. Abnegation, who basically just do community service all day, and Candor, which I'm really not sure what their jobs are or anything, but they don't lie, apparently. That's all I can really gather. So basically, you're born into a faction, and then once you're 16, you're allowed to choose for yourself whether you want to remain in your faction or pick a different one. But after that, you can never change again. Which one would you choose? That's my question. I personally am so caught between Amity and Dauntless. It's crazy, which is, I mean, it's kind of weird because those are like the ones that are complete opposites. I really have a hard time picking between like those two. I'd probably just pick Dauntless just to be with my boyfriend or something, because that's what he'd pick. Let me know what you'd pick, because I'm curious, and why. Don't forget the why. First book revolves around our main character, Triss, who is an abnegation. And that's just the weirdest faction. I just can't picture anyone actually picking it. She's not sure if she wants to stay in it either. So, but then when she takes the test that determines which faction is really the best fit for you, the test doesn't work on her, and she's given 3 possible options instead of just one, which means that she's something called a divergent, which means that tests don't work on you. Your brain is a little bit different. I don't know. So she ends up picking Dauntless, and that turns out to be the faction that's the hardest to hide being a divergent in. Also the hardest to actually pass your initiation tests. So a lot of people drop out of Dauntless initiation or just fail and have to become factionless, basically. So she picked like the worst faction she could for being something that's a bit, for being a divergent, which is you're supposed to hide because people are hunting you. So basically, that's what the whole first book is about. It's her becoming Dauntless from abnegation and undergoing all this craziness, trying to pass her initiation without seeming too good or anything, because she doesn't want anybody to know that she's a divergent. The second book here is Insurgent. It revolves around kind of the revolution that goes on afterwards, and the faction system is sort of called into question and basically overthrown. All kinds of craziness. It's sort of the middle book in the series, like that typical middle book of a trilogy that just doesn't really give you as much, and is kind of there just to be the middle. I don't know. But Triss undergoes all kinds of crazy stuff again. She's hunted again. This book actually starts off a little bit slow at the beginning, but then it really picks up towards the middle, for sure. And the third book involves, how do I even describe this? Like, they actually leave the city, or Triss and her friends leave the city and to kind of scope it out and make sure that the surroundings are actually okay for everyone else who wants to leave and leave their new government and everything. I'm gonna try to not give anything away, but it's really weird. Both of these books kind of make the first book, which was amazing, feel really small and unimportant. And it kind of, especially this one, the third one, it really calls into question what we even know about the first book. And it makes me feel like really everything from the first book was insignificant, wrong, I don't know, and I don't like that feeling because I loved the first book. It was so good. I finished the whole thing in one sitting, and yet, like, the series continues, and it's almost like reading a totally different series. It's not the same series at all anymore. What I did like about these two books versus the first one, though, is that we actually get to see some of Amity, which is sort of the faction that's like the Hufflepuff of this setting, because I mean, in the first book, we get like one named character from Amity, and he only shows up like once. But then in these two books, we actually get another Amity character who's a lot more significant, and she's a total badass, and she's really awesome. It's really the faction that we see the least of in the first book, and which sucks because it's one of the coolest ones, in my opinion. One thing I didn't like about these two books as much as the first one is that some things happen that are more convenient plot devices than actual believable events. Um, like, I mean, some stuff happens that you kind of go, why would that character even do that and use that as their reason? Like, it doesn't really seem like them. It doesn't seem like something someone would do. It was kind of more a convenient plot device, especially this one. But overall, it's a really good series. All three books really kept me entertained all the way to the last page. But honestly, the first one was significantly better, and these two almost felt like a different series. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below, and I will see you next time.